Section 1.3 Defining Gender and Important Related Concepts. Before we can begin to understand the United Nations approach to women, peace and security, and its many obstacles and challenges, it is important to define several key gender-related terms. Sex and gender. Although often used interchangeably, the words sex and gender do not mean the same thing. They refer to two different, albeit interconnected, aspects of our world. Sex has an exclusively biological connotation, whereas gender refers to socially constructed notions about masculine and feminine roles that may or may not coincide with notions of a person's sex. More specifically, gender refers to the social attributes, roles, and responsibilities associated with being male or female. It also refers to the relationships between women and men and girls and boys, as well as the relationships between women and those between men. It also includes expectations about the characteristics, aptitudes, and likely or appropriate behaviors of both women and men, including what it means to be masculine or feminine. Gender roles and expectations attributed to being male or female are learned. Gender is a broad social and political issue that determines men's and women's rights, participation, access to power, and social and political status. Gender roles are not fixed, but can and do change over time. Other definitions of sex and gender. Is it possible to be neither or both male and female? In many cultures of the world, there are 3 or more sexes or genders. Intersex. Intersex refers to the physical condition of having both female and male sexual organs or characteristics. Studies have shown that approximately 2% of live births, approximately 80,000 births per year, are to children with some degree of sex ambiguity in external genitalia, internal reproductive organs, or both. Transgender or trans is an umbrella term used to describe a wide range of identities whose appearance and characteristics are perceived as gender atypical. Trans women identify as women but were classified as males when they were born. Trans men identify as men but were classified female when they were born. And some trans people do not identify with the gender binary at all. Some transgender people seek surgery or take hormones to align their body with their gender identity. Others do not. Gender identity. Gender identity is a term describing the gender one perceives oneself to be and the gender category with which one personally identifies. Sexual orientation. Sexual orientation refers to the direction of an individual's sexual attraction, usually in terms of the sex or gender of those towards whom one feels attraction. The most commonly described sexual orientations are towards members of the opposite gender, heterosexual, same gender, gay or lesbian, both or any gender, bisexual or pansexual, or no gender, asexual. Gender equality. Gender equality refers to the equal rights and opportunities of women and men and girls and boys. Equality does not mean that women and men will become the same, but that women's and men's rights, responsibilities, and opportunities will not depend on whether they are born male or female. Equality between women and men is both a human rights issue and a precondition for and indicator of sustainable people-centered development and security. Gender equality is not gender equity. Gender equity goes further than equality of opportunity to look at outcomes. Treating women and men, or girls and boys, equally does not automatically ensure that they obtain equal outcomes and benefits, since there are many structural factors that may mitigate against this. Work towards gender equity therefore looks at structural power relations in society as well as material resources and may include taking positive and affirmative action to ensure that policies and programs benefit women or girls and men or boys equally. Gender mainstreaming. Gender mainstreaming is the central overarching concept in addressing issues of women, peace, and security. Gender mainstreaming is both a strategy to achieve gender equality and a goal in itself. It means bringing the perceptions, perspectives, experiences, knowledge, and interests of women and men to bear on policy making, planning, and decision making. Gender balance or parity. Gender balance or parity refers to the equal representation of women and men at all levels of an organization. Efforts that increase the number of women in decision-making positions constitute gender balancing. The goal of the UN is to achieve a 50-50 gender balance in all professional posts. Sex disaggregated data. Sex disaggregated data are statistics that are usually collected and presented separately for men and women. Such data are extremely valuable because they provide insight into how given gender roles lead to the distinct needs that must be met in order to fulfill these roles effectively. Gender analysis. Gender analysis is a detailed examination used to understand the relationships between men and women, their access to resources, their activities, and the constraints they face relative to each other. Gender analysis asks questions about why a situation has developed the way it has. Gender impact assessment. Gender impact assessment, GIA, refers to the differential impact, intentional or unintentional, of various policy decisions on women, men, girls, and boys. It enables policymakers to more accurately picture the effects of a given policy and compare and assess the current situation and trends with the proposed policy's expected results. Empowerment. A critical aspect of promoting gender equality is the empowerment of women. Empowerment is about men and women taking control of their lives, setting their own agendas, gaining skills or having existing skills and knowledge recognized, building self-confidence, solving problems, and developing self-reliance. Empowerment is sometimes described as being about the ability to make choices, but it must also involve being able to shape what choices are available or seen as possibilities.